Hello and welcome to another episode of Frugal Finance. So today we are at the third, hang on a minute, put that down, third property. We're at the third property of the recent sort of spat of buying things. So this is a 2-bed flat down in East Sussex in the seaside town of Newhaven. Which basically was in a pretty poor state, as you can probably tell from behind me here. Kitchen is in pretty poor state, carpets and things like that, where I go a little tour around, but generally speaking the place was just a bit run down really. Nothing really wrong with it, just as you can see from behind me, just all a bit kind of end of its life. The sad situation with this particular one was actually the person that owned it sort of got themselves into just a bit of a mess with their own finances, and they were kind of asked to sell the property, not repossess, just suggested that it would be better to sell it possibly by the mortgage company, I believe. But anyway, obviously that most unfortunate for that person, which brings me on to the kind of price of it really. I pretty much paid what was the asking price by a few £1,000s. I didn't want to feel like I'd sort of screwed this person over. The price was cheap enough as it was, and if I'm honest, you know, they're obviously going through a hard time enough, and I do have a heart and I do feel sorry for this person. Obviously this was their home and they have now had to move elsewhere. And at the end of the day, it was going cheap enough. It's a pretty straightforward vanilla style refurbishment. We'll just paint and refurbish this, rent it out, and you know, we'll get some yield on that, maybe a small amount of the capital investment back. But the town that it's actually based in has just won an award for about something like about £3.5 million worth of money spent. It's a seaside town, but it's a bit like many seaside towns, although a bit unique in the southeast in that it's actually quite run down, a little bit unloved, but it's got all the makings of being quite a nice place. It's got a nice new port development, the rest of it. It's got a ferry port out of it, train station, bus connections. It is literally half an hour ride on a bus to Brighton, half an hour the other way to Eastbourne, so in between those if you want to look it up on a map. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice town. It's just been really neglected and unloved. So this new injection of money, and I appreciate 3.5 million, 4 million or whatever it is they've won, sounds like a lot of money, but in practice actually it doesn't go all that far. But actually we're hoping that this will really rejuvenate Newhaven, and I'm going to actually a talk from the councillor who put together the bid and was successful next week to learn what they plan to do with the money. And I understand some of the investment is about actually keeping people in Newhaven when they arrive here, so from the ferry port, getting off the train, all that kind of stuff, so tourism, and keeping them in Newhaven and going back to its kind of port origin. So things like open fish markets, there's going to be some sort of excellence of butchery and fishing, and a lot into the actual fishing boats that go out and catch probably is the right word, the fish from the sea. I'm hoping that the properties that I have purchased in this area will actually go up in value. So what have we got here? Let's get on with this one, because I've got other bits and bobs to do this evening. So this is the larger of the 2 bedrooms. It's just a nice little room here, as you can see, carpet, walls, that sort of thing, pretty basic refurbishment. And we've got the front room here, which has probably got arguably slightly better view, bigger window certainly, but is actually quite on the smaller side, so really a kind of a double and a single, which is the sort of classic thing you find in these sort of 2-bed flats really. Normally 1 bedroom is a bit smaller than the other bedroom. So I was just trying to shut that window there. Yeah, and generally speaking, we've got the nice, pretty large lounge here, open plan style kitchen, So we will have to change this door to a fire door, but I see in here, to save ourselves some money, there is actually the original fire door here placed against the wall. So we'll be utilising that back on here. Yes, it's nice to have the light through, and maybe we'll take the opportunity to put in a different style fire door with a light in, but we may just rehang the original, as that will be slightly more cost effective. Kitchen, obviously that's up for renewal, and the same with the bathroom really. Electrics as well, they need to be upgraded, and so will the heating system. So pretty straightforward one on this one. But yeah, we're hoping to crunch the numbers at the end, but we paid 152,500 for this, which is about $2,000 less than the asking price. As I mentioned before, I don't want to screw the guy over. At the end of the day, he was selling it cheap to start with, so that's kind of really what I felt comfortable doing. And we're hoping that once this has been refurbished, the valuation that we had carrying it out on this, we couldn't get a traditional buy-to-let loan on it because it's obviously not in a lettable state as it is, although the guy was living here, to be fair to him. It's just not really of a marketable state. Obviously it's quite worn out. So that leads us to the valuation at the end of this from the surveyor was 185 to 190. So we're hoping to get around that sort of cost, with maybe about a sort of $7,000 mark for refurbishment. So once it's remortgaged, hopefully a reasonable profit, but not all of the finance out. And then the rental value obviously will top that back up over time. So that's this particular flat. This is the last of the 3 properties that I've been harping on about for the last few months that we had in the pipeline. Obviously the bungalow is going to take quite some time, so we'll probably do an update video on that. The chimney started to come down, the roof, the ceilings and things like that, scaffolds up, that sort of thing. So probably pop by there at some point and have a look at that. Anyway, that is it for now. If you do like the video, please don't forget to subscribe and like the channel, do all that sort of YouTube interactive stuff below. And then what I would say is, in terms of if you follow me on the stocks and shares journey, which is the other side of the Frugal Finance channel, or one of the other sides, then if you click down below and you fancy joining up through there, you can actually get up to £100 worth of free shares in the description below with free share or free trade even. And you know, if you want to start your investing journey through that method rather than the property method. Obviously I'm not a financial advisor, so you take all these risks yourself, don't just copy me. And again, if there's any other links in the description below that you fancy clicking on, there's links to various books and things like that, so please do check that out. And with that said, I shall see you next time. And for you guys that like the frugalness, I am planning on doing some videos on credit cards, various bank accounts, and also paying down debt as well. I know that's a real firm favourite for you, especially as we run up into Christmas. In fact, I'm actually giving a speech on it early in the new year at one of the local sort of chamber things. So with that said, I will leave you in peace. Goodbye.